combination of things led me to understand the world differently than how I was raised. One was the fact that I was raised in an environment where questions were encouraged. Even in some of the simple things of like, go clean your room. Why? It would be answered. They would ask, they would say, well, this is the reason why you do this and do that and do that. And yeah, sometimes when I still wasn't satisfied with the answer, just be like, because I said so, and that's the way it goes. But my curiosity was never stymied. Another thing that helped was a combination was the fact that I came to the realization things can be true. It's not that something just cannot be proven. It's really, there are some things that are true. There's actual facts and there's non-facts. And realizing that helped me dig into the belief system that I was given and look for a kernel of accuracy that brought me to a point where I said, oh, the reason why is really this other thing. And that's some other items came into my life as well. I won't deny that my mother's illness was an important part of that. She became sick with multiple sclerosis and died from it, spent a lot of years deteriorating in front of me. Now, I did say that she wasn't the best of mothers, but no one deserves to die in the fashion that she did. And so I prayed and I thought about it, and the more that I prayed and the more I asked about why this wasn't being answered to the scholars, to my teachers, to reading books, to everything like that, I came to the realization that prayer ends up the same as rolling dice and then saying that you just rolled it wrong. You pray for it, it doesn't happen, you say, well, it was just meant to be that way. You pray for it, and it does happen, then you can't really say that you brought it to happening, because that would have been the will of the being anyway. So, you roll the dice, I'm saying I'm going to roll, I want a 5, you roll the die and it turns out 5. It didn't become 5 because you prayed for 5. But you could blame it on yourself, or you could give thanks to some other powers, but it really was just a 5. So that was one other aspect. Some other aspects of my life was running into people who would discuss these topics with me for a while until I was able to refine my view better. I challenged a lot of views with people who are versed in the Bible. I'm versed in the Bible because I read it back in the day and tried to really understand it, and talked with them about aspects about the Christian Bible, about religious practices throughout the world, because I'm curious about other religions too. And just, I can't say there was one thing, but I'm there now and I can't deny the truth I know. And was actually one of those phrases that you used in the church, is that I feel so good about the truth that I know I can't deny it anymore. I love it and I enjoy it. But I learned the real truth and I just can't let it go. If I deny it, I'm crazy, I'm insane, I'm delusional if I let that truth go. I was very active when I recommitted. When I was young, I didn't really have the opportunity to be active. I was, 6, 7, 9 years old, just running around in that area. But when I went to church on my own, made the decision on my own, that's when I became involved in the youth services and trying to go out to events. I was a kid at that time or so, 18, 19, 17, and so I was going to different events and such. So I was very involved in my church and looking to involve myself more. I went out and spread the word as much as I could. I studied very often. I defended my views against other views that I wanted to challenge. I was very excited about what I understood the world to be at that time. One thing I mentioned earlier was that being raised in this country, I take on the bulk of the moral views that this country has. I recognize that, and those feel right to me. And I recognize that a lot of those pressures, because our contemporary culture is very Christian in its views, I will acknowledge that those are the codes which I believe to be altruistic. So that's one thing. Another thing that I take from my religious views that I had back when were, as I went in my journey believing that I was right or the world was right or that I was being pantheistic, universalist, or whatever situations, in the end I get to the point where I appreciate other people's religious views. I know that so many people say that, but then they go out of their ways to attack religion as often as they can or whatever. But what I really do understand is the idea of hope, the idea that this life, without something greater or a reward or some dream of things being happy, this life is tough. Reality is almost nothing but numbers and the cold hard fact that you are an animated speck on a wet rock, pirouetting around a flaming ball of gas, hurtling through a reality that is larger and always getting larger, that you could never escape. And so you are completely insignificant in this universe, but yet in the reverse, you are the most important thing in the world to yourself. And that's the way it should be. The aspect of religion allows somebody to, one aspect of the Christian religion specifically, and actually the Abrahamic religions, that allows people to believe in a reward and a life after this, and therefore be more content in the reality that is harsh. And I'm not going to call them fools for it. I'm not going to call them idiots or numbskulls or anything like that, because they aren't. They're very intelligent people who choose to be Christians, who choose to be Muslim, who choose to be Jewish, who choose to be Buddhist and Shinto and all these other things. They know the world, and they can digest the world, and they can look at the world, and they choose to have this belief because they feel better that way, and that's great. Awesome. Do your thing. Stay out of my way. Do your thing. One thing that's really benefited me since I've come to the realization of the absence of God is a much closer relationship to ownership, a much easier path to digesting the way things are right now. It's harder to accept sometimes the way reality is, because you can't assume the motivations, and you can't blame fingers on things like, the reason why so-and-so died in a car wreck was just cause. I mean, bad stuff happens to good people, and good things happen to bad people, not because of some great cosmic referee or that bizarre Western karma that says you're putting in good stuff to get bad stuff out. Bad stuff happens to good people, good stuff happens to bad people, because it just does. Stuff happens. You're just in the wrong place, wrong time. And that's helped me understand some of the things that have happened in my life, some of the things that have happened in other people's lives, in a much clearer way, instead of going around saying, why? It's just like, this was just not in your control.